Hello and welcome to the show. This week in Tech Talk, we're going to take you to the Philippines and ShoreAgents, who we work very closely with. Stephen Atcheler heads up ShoreAgents, and he joins me to talk about tech talking to tech. Hey Stephen, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, mate, this is a conversation you and I have had on a number of occasions. It's all very good to be tech savvy, which I guess a lot of us think we are, but how good are we really with tech, and how important is it that the tech we use, Stephen, is capable of talking to other tech so that we can actually get a multiplier effect?
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting that people now are adopting new online platforms to help manage their team over here. Not only their team, but in their marketing. There's lots of different areas where people are using tech. But as I started to adopt it all, I'm like, why does this one not talk to this one? How do I get what just happened here over here? And looking for the answer for so long, and then I finally found the answer to, I guess, like what I call it is breaking the language barrier. It's like a Chinese person speaking to someone in English. How do you get a translator in there? And that's what this tool I found. It's called Zapier.
Well, tell me about Zapier. How does it work?
So essentially what Zapier does is it sort of sucks data. The way that I'm not the most techie person, the way that I see it is it can pull data and transfer the data and send it somewhere else. Usually you would need a web developer to do this. So the way that it works, like a program would have an API and a program would have to be able to receive an API. If they didn't build that into the system, they will never talk to each other. And that's if they have an API at all.
So just let me qualify here. An API is simply as an abbreviation for something, but it means that one application can work with another. They're integrated.
Correct. Like there's CRMs that will have an API. So say, for example, if some data turned up in one CRM, that the API would replicate that, or it could be pulled and pushed somewhere else. But APIs are a bit more expensive to build, so a lot of these things don't have an API, or the alternative, what they call it, is a webhook, which I looked at this word for a long time and eventually thought, what is it and how do I use it? But the same thing there. You have to have, one has a receiving webhook, one has an exporting webhook. If they don't have that built in, once again, you're stuck with no tech talking to tech. It's not tech talk, it's tech nothing.
It's a tech wall. A classic example of an API, just break it down for me, would, if I'm correct here, would be like a CRM. When you enter a new listing into your CRM, all of that data that you put in there is then exported automatically as you list that property on realestate.com.au or domain. It just sucks that out because they're talking to each other.
It can be replicated, elsewhere, essentially, and that's the easiest way to put it. But like what we said, a lot of these things don't have that. So the gap in between is that you can push any webhook or any API or any data out of a system into Zapier, and it is the thing in the middle that can transfer it to somewhere else. So if we talk about a live example of that. So let's say one of the areas in real estate which it works particularly well is having a real estate agent, instead of filling out a new listing form with paper, if you want to get the information they're filling, so it's 3-bed, 2-bath, beautiful home, whatever, the title, the photos, if you want to get that information somewhere else instantly, instead you can give them a form, like JotForm is just an online forms program, and everything in that form will send to Zapier. So then anything in that form can go somewhere else. So if you think about using a VA, you've got Tim Smith from Tim's Realty just listed 123 Smith Street. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, blah, 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 blah. Soon as he enters that and hits submit on the form, automatically there's a Trello card that pops up, and it's got a full checklist on there of everything that they need to do.
We're going to be talking more about this in the Offshore 101 program with Stephen. We're going to be, if you haven't caught up on that yet, it's about to be launched, but you can certainly see that and all the programs are going to be recording with Stephen about technology and how to work better with offshore at Property TV. It'll be a separate channel, so you've got to catch up on all of that. We will dig more into this and give some classic examples. You mentioned there Trello. Trello is something you introduced to me about 3 or 4 years ago. I still use it. I think it's a fantastic application. We also use a program called Monday. All of these things talk to each other. All these programs talk to each other to help you coordinate with your team to make sure that you're not having to call them all the time. So in other words, when one activity is completed, your market is completed, and it goes on automatically to the next person. That's probably been the biggest breakthrough for me, Stephen.
Mm-hmm. And it's all of those things, they're very transparent. So yeah, like you say, it eliminates the constant communication. What I like about Monday, and going back to the Zapier example, you introduced me to Monday, I introduced you to Trello, and now you've got me onto Monday, and I love it. When something is marked done, I just thought, geez, it'd be nice. I don't want to get the emails all the time. It's annoying. But I'd love to have a channel in Slack that was just like a news feed of all items that are done in the business. So I just created a Zap, same thing again. When somebody hits done, sends message to Slack inside the channel. And what it does is just says, okay, this new piece of content, the designer has now completed the 3 images that he needs. Okay, that's it. So for whatever things, it's as basic as that. But then I can just go, oh, yeah, cool. Oh, yeah, that's done without actually having to go anywhere. So another cool way that, you can get the tech talking to the other tech.
I want to take a moment now to go to another level, and that's talk about chatbots. I did an interview, or I was witness to an interview that Antonio Mercarella from the REIQ did recently with Jeff Turner in the United States. And Jeff was waxing lyrically about chatbots and how real they are. But work with me on this, Stephen. Is it possible to have a chatbot who asks intelligent questions, gets the information back, and then that information is pumped straight into a CRM? So in other words, you can almost become arm's length until you get to the stage where you've actually got to get face-to-face with someone.
100%. So there's clients that we've put something together. It's been in beta. It's not something that we've offered. We're offshore staffing, but we will be moving into these space. But there's a client that we use that uses our system that I had built for them, which does exactly that. Long as you program it to ask intelligent questions, it will get the data from the person. The cool thing about a chatbot, particularly in Messenger, say if somebody wants to get a market report about their area, there's a nice video about it, you can get them to download the report. When it asks them questions about their name, because you're already in Facebook, you don't need to know the name because you know the name. It does already know your phone number, and it does already know your email. So it breaks the barrier of people actually submitting their data to you, because it's as easy as going, yes, yes, yes. They answer a couple of questions. Is this correct? Okay. And that, once again, can be sucked straight out and put wherever you want. So it can go straight to a spreadsheet, new listing lead in Excel. It can go into Slack. It can create a card in Trello, whatever you want it to do. And these guys are listing properties straight out of the chatbot, just calling them up, going there, booking an appointment. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think Jeff makes a very good point too, that we shouldn't get too upset about worrying about things like disruption, because he makes the point in the interview with Antonio that this is an industry that's always had disruption. We're probably our own worst enemies with this. We just need to work out how to harness this activity, and all of these tools are coming in to help at the level of frustration. In other words, they're taking away a lot of the tasks that create frustration for the consumer when they're dealing with a real estate agent. Most real estate agents want to do the right thing. What all of this technology does is enable you to do exactly that by making it a lot easier. That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things, but it's adapting to how to use them. And that's the slow part. The tech's moving fast, and by the time real estate industry adopts things, things that there's something else, there's something else, there's something else. The chatbots is a huge thing in the future. I think everybody will be prospecting on a day-to-day basis through Facebook Messenger, because it is ridiculous the amount of conversations it will start for you. You just got to be able to finish them.
Okay, so much to cover. This has been a bit of an insight for you into some of the flavour of what I'll talk to, or what Stephen will discuss with us in his show. and that's called Offshore 101, and that's going to be exclusive to Property TV. You can hear all about it through Property TV in the weeks to come. Hey Stephen, great working with you, my friend. Thank you very much, and I'll let you get back to your Trello and your Zapier and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Kevin.